Hey YouTube, it's Marvel for 25192 here with a Banlist discussion video. Seeing as how we're gonna have our next Banlist come April 1st, I know it's so soon. And talking to my friends, they just don't seem to realize how short it is. They completely forgot that we were getting a new Banlist. And I haven't really seen any videos apart from a discussion on this card online, so I figured I think I'd post one on what should be banned, what may be unbanned, what should be limited, or what should be semi-limited, so on and so forth. So first off, limiter removal. Machines are just doing too well. This card helps them OTK that one turn, and they don't even have to set up that much for it. They just need, I guess, like 2 big monsters, and they can just flip this. It allows them to conserve resources while still being able to OTK that turn. And with the new Cyber Dragon deck, all its support that it's gotten, and Geargia still running around, this card is dangerous in the game. This card should never... This card, I understand this card is at 1, but it should just it's just not good for the game in any way, so I think it should be gone. Next to 1, Stratos. While I don't think this card should be brought back, I think the slight possibility is there due to the fact that we're getting our new, I guess, hero deck. The new structure deck is going to be heroes, so unless they make something similar to this, like a maybe once per turn type of Stratos monster or anything like that, I think that there's the slight possibility that this card could come back. Though, don't get me wrong, I don't believe it should. It's just a possibility. Next, we have Big Eye. While I believe this card should be banned, the fact that it has no cost, you just make this and take their monster for free for the rest of the game, is just unfair. Back when we were in Dragon Ruler format, it was a Big Eye war between this card and your opponent's Big Eyes. So this card should be at 1, just to balance that out, make it once. I know a lot of people are using it at 1, and I still believe it should be banned, but I think Konami might put it at 1 first and then ban it, like Shockmaster. So yeah. Next is number 101, Silent Honor Arc. Kind of the same mentality behind Big Eye, except this card is not as strong. This card just takes your opponent's monster, and then you got to try to kill it twice to be able to get rid of it. That is slightly unfair. If it just took your opponent's monster and that's all, I wouldn't even be worried about this card. Sure, it would still be played, but that second effect where you can just detach one for it to live off of anything is just unfair. So this card should go to 1. Oh, also, I understand that a lot of people are playing this at 1 already. There have been decks coming out where they play multiples of these and they go into the Chaos Monster. And they do it relatively easy, so that's another reason why I think it should be at 1, because their key card is this card. So yeah. Next up is Dragon Ravine. Dragoonities haven't been doing anything. Neither have Dragon Rulers. And I know the main reason they hate this card was to hate Dragon Rulers, but they murked Dragoonities just by hitting this card. At 1, it gives a chance to Dragoonities to be able to set up at least, and then if it gets MST'd, oh well. But at 1, I feel Dragoonities have a chance to be able to play. This completely destroys the deck. At 1, Dragoonities will not be tier 1 with just one of these. They need 3. They need consistency. If it gets MST'd, they have no backup. So yeah, it just gives them a chance to be playable. Next up, Kaiju Coliseum. I don't want to say too much on this card, so I'm just going to say it doesn't let you play the game, especially against Boojins, where they can protect it. Big monster, and you're only limited to 1 monster. Try to get over that big monster, which just gets bigger. with Crane and Honest and such, which they play, what, 3 Crane, 1 Honest? That's 4 cards, which is fairly easy to have, especially with the way they search. So yeah, this card should go to 1. Next, Abyssphere. I wanted to hit Abysstius to 1, and this card to 2, but the fact that this card is just like, you could just draw this card, set it, and next turn survive, and be back in the game with a big monster just makes this card unfair. I think this card should be at 1. It's searchable via Mermail, Abyss Megalo, which isn't seeing a whole lot of play right now, at least for his main effect. Most people are playing 2 and dropping it to 1, so yeah, this card should go to 1. Next up for the semi-limiteds, I did say Mermail Abysstius to 1 that I wanted to, but I think that would hurt the deck way too much, so I put it to 2. This card is still one of the main searches of the deck, and it speeds your deck up. At 2, it slows the deck down a lot more, especially with Abyssphere at 1, so this card, I think it'd be balanced at 2. Next up is Gladiator Beast Bestiari. While I understand GBs have been doing better now, they've been using Fire Fist support, which is something that I am going to hinder a little bit. They would need something else to rely on. GBs have always been that one deck that keeps all the other decks kind of in check, so I believe this would be a good consistency boost. And heck, all the other decks have ways to pop spells at 3, so I understand Geyseris is a card, but everybody's playing, what, 3 Fiendish Chain, 3 Effect Veiler, or whatever, so I think this card at 2 should be okay. Next up, Gyurgy Armor to 2. A lot of people were saying that to hit this card at 1. I think at 1 is a little bit too much. I think at 2 is okay, because it makes him have to rely on other cards to be able to get it out. And I'm just gonna say this is really not the problem card. This card was at 3 for a really long time, and the deck wasn't doing that much for us. It gained popularity when a certain trap card came out, so this card should just, it's just another way to keep the deck in check, so leaving it at 2 I think is a little bit more fair. Next up, Thunder King Rhino to 2. This is not one of these. This is not one of the cards that says you can't play this game. It's a little bit more balanced than that. It's one of those cards that says you can't search for your key cards. You got to find a way around this first, and it slows your opponent down. And yes, it's big, but it's let's be honest, it's fairly easy to get around. It was at 3 for the longest time, and all it did was just slow your opponent down slightly. So yeah. Next is Wolfbark. I was gonna put this card at 1, but it does see play in other decks. So at 2, it hinders those other decks kind of. This card is a free Xyz monster once per turn. So if you have another monster, you can use this card once. If it survives, you can use it again. At 2, it'd be a little more balanced, especially with the fact that I'm putting Tenki to 2. This may not seem like hitting the 4-axis Fire Fist that much, which is +1 Fire Fist, which is currently the most popular one right now. But these 2 cards are huge in the deck. They are basically the main engine, and hitting them to 2 does hurt them so much. Think of Dino Rabbit back when Rabbit and Tour Guide went to 2 and Sandgang got banned. The deck just basically relied on macro, otherwise it wasn't good. So these 2 cards to 2 does hit them quite a bit while hindering other decks, not to such a great degree. So yeah. Next up is Gear to 2. This card is just too good. It is basically a rescue rabbit of the deck. And it's not even as balanced as Rescue Rabbit because you can use it on your opponent's turn. So this card could go to 2 or 1 for all I care. 2 for now because Girgia. Oh no, actually yeah, this card should be at 1 because this card is just unfair. Rescue Rabbit is at 1. This card is more powerful than Rescue Rabbit, so yes, this card should be at 1. If this card was at 1, they don't need to put Girgia Armor to 1, but yeah, this card needs to go to 1, especially with the fact that they're getting MK3. So, yeah. Next up, Reckless Greed, Semi-Limited. This has been a trend that a lot of people are playing. They're playing 3 Upstart, 3 Reckless. I have no problem with Upstart. Upstart is a card that you're giving your opponent 1,000 life points just to trade it for another card. You're not gaining advantage. You're losing advantage by playing the card just to keep your consistency up. So Reckless, so Upstart Goblin does nothing. However, Reckless Greed, yes, you're gaining advantage for the turn. You're having a +1 at the cost of going -1 every turn for the next 2 turns. However, when played in 3, the odds are you're going to draw 2 or activate them, at least when you have 2. So you can get your +3 at the cost of going -1 2 turns later. So this card at 2 would keep the card in check. It would make it more balanced. It would make it so that you're playing the card for the exact same reason you played it before, just to speed up your deck for the turn and then stall, and then just minus yourself for the next 2 turns. Yes, if you open up with 2 of these, you're golden, and you play it unfairly, but at 2, it's a little more balanced. So yeah. Next is Skill Drain. This is one of those cards that is just so unfair, especially with the huge beat sticks, where I'm just tired of seeing, oh, I'm going to summon a big monster, and now I'm going to activate Skill Drain. You can't get over it with all your little weenies. Your deck is completely shut down. Deal with it. So Soul Drain is at 1, and it didn't hit as many decks as this card hits. I think at 2 is a little bit fair. At 1, not so much, especially with MST at 3, Dust Tornado being sided in, and other cards like that. So at 2, yes, and then maybe later to 1. So yeah, guys, that is my Banlist prediction, or what I think should happen for the most part. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys would change. I didn't mention hitting Tenki to 2 and Wolfbark to 2 also hinders what's the name of the deck? Fire Kings, which is a very powerful deck that you don't see too much of. I don't understand because the deck is extremely good. However, I think that Fire Kings should get hit a little bit more than that with Rekindling, but Rekindling has not been touched ever since it was created, so I don't think that card's going to get touched at all. I think it should, but I don't think it will. And then, last but not least, the card that I would love to bring back to 2, I think it would be fair to the game. However, it'd be completely bringing back a new deck that the Konami doesn't really like, because it's a cookie cutter deck and they only like their archetypes, is Rescue Rabbit. Being the most innovative deck ever created, Dino Rabbit was just amazing. When they hit plants, that was a cookie cutter deck, but now they're bringing plant stuff back just because they have an archetype for it. So this card, I believe, should come back to 2. At 3, it's just unfair, especially with 3 Torghad, but it should come back to 2 so that Dino Rabbit can be played in a little bit more fair way. At 3, it's just unfair because the odds of you drawing it, I believe, are like 38% if you have it at 3. At 1, it's, or at 2, it's like 20-something%. So yeah, this card should come back to 2, but it's more of a want, more than an actual need. So yeah, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, guys. I will be bringing some more content in, including some premium gold pack openings. Until then, have a nice day.